Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Thursday, the 22nd of August, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at the dollar just sinking a little bit lower this morning, so just starting to enter that negative territory on the short-term chart, but holding up. It's a bit early to call it bearish. And still bullish on the medium and long-term charts. And that means the euro is just kicking up and looking a little bit better this morning. And the Japanese yen, seeing the dollar just actually holding on here, which gives us some feeling that maybe the dollar will just hang on to that short-term trend. Sterling is sitting fairly flat at 121.45, and if we look at sterling against the euro, it's just turning a little bit bearish, having had a little flutter this week. Swiss franc seeing sterling at 119.27, so it's improved a bit there. And if we look at Bitcoin, we're back below the $10,000 level, so we're back to short-term bearish there. The US stock market was up last night, really just hovering on this medium-term support level. And if we look at the Nasdaq, much the same picture. The Dow also just holding on. So market looking relatively okay at the moment, but it's again, if we take out the lows that we've seen recently, that's the worry. The Russell 2000 just moving into short-term bullish territory as well, so looking a little bit better there as well. The futures this morning are flat, and that means that at the moment the US market looks set to open flat this afternoon. The UK market is down 0.4% on the FTSE, so still bearish on all three time frames there, and the mid-caps are down 0.3%, although they are looking a little bit better on the shorter term chart. Looking at the CAC Quarante, little change this morning, but we have wandered into bullish territory yesterday, and the same with the French market, the CAC Quarante. The DAX and the CAC basically looking a little bit better. Japan was fairly flat last night, and the Hang Seng was actually down nearly 1%, so Hong Kong's woes still continue. Chinese market was up slightly, and the short-term chart has wandered into bullish territory there. The Indian market still in the doldrums, sitting down 0.5%, not looking so good medium and short term. The Aussie market up 0.3%, and if we look at Brent Crude, it's higher this morning, sitting above the $60 mark, so we are in short-term bullish mode there, and the same with WTI. US nat gas sitting at $2.16, bearish on all three time frames. Looking at gold this morning, we see that we're just back below that $1,500 level. We're in short-term bearish territory, and the same with silver, although it's looking a little bit better on that short-term chart. US 10-year yield sitting at 1.58%. So just a flat this last few days, no real change there. And the German bond market, we're seeing bond prices just ticking lower, having had an amazing run over recent months. Looking at the individual stocks now, if we look at the Dow 30 first of all, the best performer in the Dow last night was Nike, up 2.7%. The medium-term chart is still a bit bearish, and we have underperformed the market there. And looking at Boeing, we're also lower there as well, although we were higher yesterday, but the medium-term chart has been pretty bearish for months, with the MAX 737 issues still hanging over Boeing. United Health Group were the worst performer yesterday. They were down 1.7%. And Walmart, having jumped earlier in the week, is actually and having outperformed the market by 10% so far this year, Walmart was the second worst performer. In the Nasdaq, the best performer was AMD, up 3%. So that was quite a strong performance. And looking at Alexion Pharmaceuticals, they were up 3%. Very different looking chart there, though. AMD actually just marching up the hill, outperforming the Dow Jones by 50% this year. So they've been a real performer, and they're on the leaders board again yesterday. The worst performer yesterday was Tesla. They were down 2.2%. And they've underperformed the market some 35% this year. So still looking pretty dire there on the charts. They've struggled to get back into bullish territory. Lots of downside targets there for Tesla. Taking a look at the Aussie market now, the best performer was Vocus Group. They're up 9.5%, but that's not really changed the chart. And then on the downside, we had IDP Education down 10%, and that chart is still looking pretty stellar, having outperformed the Dow Jones this year by nearly 70%. So looking pretty strong there. Taking a look at the Indian market now, the best performer was Hero Motor Group. They're up 1.7%, but the chart not looking great. And then if we look at Tata Motors, well, the worst performer, down a massive 9%. So they've sunk even lower, underperforming the market by 40% this year. So quite a worry there. Looking at the UK market now, if we look at the NMC Health, so the best performer in the top 100 this morning, a big jump there. GVC Holdings, they're up as well, some 7%, but not enough to change the chart. And Aviva up 1.54%, so again, not enough to change the chart. ITV up 1%, and that chart's still looking pretty dire. Looking at the downside, we have Prudential, they're down 1.8%. Ocado down by a similar amount. Prudential's chart not looking great though, and if you see the chart, they're falling away quite heavily, underperforming the market now by 10%. The relative really breaking down there. Ocado Group, they are looking strong, even though they're down. The second worst performer this morning. Taking a look at the 250, we've got Omega Holdings up 4%, although the chart still looks pretty grim. Premier Oil up 4% as well, and again the chart doesn't look great there. Viva Energy also falling away there, and the chart also underperforming. So we're seeing a theme here where a lot of the good performers today, the charts aren't great. Looking at the poor performers, we've got John Lang Group, they're down 8%, and ironically that chart has looked pretty good until recently. A big fall there this morning has not helped. And if we look at Ferex Pro, they're down 4.5%, sinking away into bearish territory as well. Really hard to find the good-looking charts. Into Properties down 3.7%, having underperformed the market 60% this year. So again, not looking great at all there. Looking to European stocks now, Banco Bilbao, BBVA, they're up 1.6%, but the chart looks dire. ING Group also up, but their chart looks dire. We're seeing this with European banks all with pretty grim looking charts. Intesa, SocGen, all the leaders this morning are the European banks, but the charts look dire. Taking a look at the best performer, the worst performer, we've got Kering Group, and that chart's still holding up on the long term, but the medium term is breaking down. And we've got Airbus there, just as having a look at Boeing. Airbus chart still looking pretty good, outperforming the market by 30% this year, the Dow Jones. And here we see the live pricing coming in from Yahoo Finance. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.